I mean, this film really does present itself in halves, right? And so, just kind of as I'm breaking down the anatomy of the film, this is pretty much the halfway point directly, and you can see that there is this um, mid movie shift. Mid movie, it's 45 seconds in, but this is just such a short film that it's easy to break down in that way. It's easy just to see that all presented. But I mean, yeah, like I said, like you have this first part of the film where you have this hiker. He's peaceful. He's interrupted by the noise a couple times. He's trying to seek peace. Cuts away from that. That's the first part of the story. That's what's happening. And then the second half, it's shot completely differently. There's none of those repeating angles. We're not going to see this shot again, even though we could, and we will see similarly, styled shots, but most of these shots are a good bit closer to the end. We're getting new angles. We're not repeating the same angle. We're in new territory. We're not returning to, all right, we're back to this shot. No, like this is new shots, a little closer, a little more, a little more Dutch, right? We're getting new shots basically every time. I mean, this cuts to the same angle, and this shares an angle, but that's a new shot. And basically, it's kind of showing you we're in new territory. There's no security in the edit of the film anymore, because audiences pick up on that stuff, right? And I think that's why I wanted to do a horror piece, and this is still just hardly dipping my toes in. There's so much more I want to do studying horror. I want to do a short, kind of like David Sandberg shorts. I would love to kind of study that format and try to make something like one of his, like, kind of haunted house style shorts, right? Because his short films play a lot on that idea of like you're in your house but you're not alone. That discomfort, that idea of like the monster in the closet. That's fundamentally scary, and he taps into that really well. I want to try that at some point as well, because there's just a huge language there, and audiences are really in tune with that. Audiences can feel, especially in horror, they know when the camera is moving, and they know that like, oh wait, we're no longer able to see the whole frame. Something's being hidden. Why is that? They can pick up on that, right? And I don't know, like, just I wanted to play with that a little bit here, kind of cutting between, now we're introducing these point of view shots, right? We're still in that, we still have these third person shots, but I wanted the film to kind of be more personal, now that we've introduced the character, we've seen them react. Now that, we're continuing a little more, I want the film to feel just a little bit more personal. It's a little bit more close, and we literally see their point of view as this monstrous hand appears and disappears, and then they dip down to look below the bench, and that is, we share their point of view. And we get into these shots, and I think these shots are interesting because a lot of these are more rough. Literally, the last half of the film is presented a little more roughly than the first half. In small ways. I think there's, still some polished shots here, right? Some things that are, framed up a little bit nicer. Like, I like the way this shot looks. I like these reaction shots coming to the end. I think those turned out well. I think that shot looks good. There's some shots that I think are framed up just fine. But then there's also shots that, and I think this one looks good too. But there's also shots that are a little bit more, like the point of view shots. There's less happening in frame. There's less depth going on. I think this shot looks nice, but this point of view it's a little more shaky, right? It's not on a tripod, right? It's literally like, it's like it's handheld, right? So fundamentally, it's just a little bit less nice as far as like a shot goes, right? And that's part of the storytelling is using like, all right, we're going to get that like movement of the hand, I think helps tell the story. And this shot's, it's, I don't even know where to start with this shot. This, like, it's putting the camera on the ground to get that shot. And that's just the function of trying to get the angle I want. But I even think that, like, everything that comes with a shot like this, where it's on the ground, it's not on a tripod, it's not stable, like, level, the camera's not level, the background's blown out. Like, there's things that are just messy about that shot that are just a little bit more raw than a shot where, I can get a little more depth, get the bokeh where I want it. It's not blown out, the light's how I want it, right? Like, It's on a tripod. Actually, this shot might not be on a tripod. This might be like on the ground as well. But I think it's framed up a little bit nicer. But it's also like the point of a shot like this is we're seeing what could be the monster's point of view. And it's not. We know that by this point, he looks under the bench and the monster's not there. But in a shot like this, like you see him, come down, over his head comes under the bench to check, and we can hardly see his expression. We have to squint to see how he's reacting. And I don't know. It's like I don't necessarily think, I'm not saying this to be like pat myself on the back and to say that this was all intentional on the day while I was shooting, but in the edit, piecing it all together, I think that helps tell the story. And I could have edited around that if I didn't think that it helped tell the story.